Hi, everyone. I'm here with my friend Jess Morrison, and we're going to talk about virtual assisting. So, Jess is an actual virtual assistant, or a VA, as the lingo is. I thought she could come on and talk to us about what it is she does in this crazy world, and do we need her services? Hi, Jess. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, so I'm Jess Morrison. I left the finance industry in 2020 to pivot my skills to help small business owners, specifically female business owners, get stuff up and running without the hassle of having to have a full-time employee. Um, so the question I do get asked a lot, and you hit the nail on the head there, is what is a virtual assistant?
Mhm.
So sometimes I say that to people and they're like, you mean like Siri or like Alexa? And I'm like, no, that is a virtual assistant, but that's an intelligent virtual assistant with just an AI service. So virtual assistants are just independent contractors. We provide an array of services, but mostly administrative services to clients who need help, not necessarily in office. So they're able to outsource this work outside of their office. So you could potentially be hiring a virtual assistant from another country. You could be hiring them from another state. It depends on what your needs are and what the VA's skill set is. Um, there's a big array of backgrounds, so I'll go into that really quickly. There's generally four pillars that I see women working in, and that's general administration, technology, social media, and then design work. Design work also kind of covers copywriting as well. Um, for business owners like yourself, Hillary, I generally do a bit of like inbox management and kind of almost like an external office manager type role where I'm the first point of contact for all the projects just to make sure everybody's ducks are in a row. And my goal with all my clients is really to put hours back in their day. So there's no limit to what you think you could outsource. It can be as simple as I need to organize my spreadsheet and I'm terrible at Excel. You can hand it off to your
True
employees. You
story.
really, yeah. But your employee might also say, I'm terrible at Excel. So
Mm.
that's when my skill set comes in because I can come in and set up a template that you guys can use, again and again and again. Um, there's a great example that I always think of when it comes to like the cost comparison of a full-time employee or even a part-time employee versus a virtual assistant. So think about hourly rate of pay. My hourly rate of pay is probably going to look higher than an employee, but I'm not getting fringe benefits. There's no overhead for hiring me. It makes my effective rate of pay equivalent. So if you have someone you're hiring in at $20 an hour with fringe benefits, that's around seven, dental health, any type of insurance, and then overhead for your office space, your equipment, all that extra stuff. Let's just break that down to another $10. You're already at $37 an hour for your employee. I
Plus
cover all that extra stuff
taxes.
for myself. Yeah, plus taxes. I mean, I'm just trying to
Yeah.
really water that down there to
Hmm.
it's not that full-time employees are not beneficial. They very much are, but there are businesses who are newer. They're not necessarily in their beginning stages, but you don't have the flexibility to be hiring full-time. And I can work, say, 480 hours per year for someone, which is minuscule compared to a full-time employee who's working a little over 2,000. So
Yeah.
we get the same work covered for different rates, and we come in, we do what you want, and then we leave. You have that lever to constantly pull to keep your budget in balance.
Nice. What are some things that you've been working on specifically recently? So if someone's still listening, yes, but what? Besides a spreadsheet, what else? Because I feel like when I first heard about VAs a while ago, I was like, so what could it be? And everyone's like, it's endless. I'm like, yeah, that's too broad for me. I'm gonna need you to narrow it down and give me 5 options to go with here.
Okay, yeah. So I'm going to actually break it into categories and give you a couple under each category because, like I said before, each business owner's needs are different. Um, the one I specifically specialize in is administrative tasks. So you can think about inbox detoxing and inbox management, your
Mhm.
schedule management. That could include proofreading products and small bookkeeping needs. There are VAs who solely do bookkeeping. So I don't want to say that not all VAs do that, but they kind of blend.
Okay.
Making travel plans and reservations or something we're often assisting with, invoicing clients, your CRM management. That's usually something we step in and handle and help with automations and streamlining things. There's transcription and data entry that follow under that. And then research, and we talked about project management. So that's definitely admin stuff. For small businesses specifically, I've been helping recently with a lot of branding questions. I'm going to branch off for a second. When it comes to branding, decision fatigue is real in any scope. It's especially real in small businesses. So sometimes having a VA to review what you're talking about with your branding specialist will help clarify what questions you should be asking. And that's kind of what I've been getting into. I do basic copy and basic graphic design as well. So those kind of avalanche into support with website changes and updates, writing and scheduling blog posts, formatting blog posts, webinar creation, and even launch assistance for products and programs.
Okay.
I know that's a lot. There's also social media. And social media, you can think anything under the sun. There are some people who are social media managers who are virtual assistants. And then there are virtual assistants like myself who offer social media support. We don't claim to be experts. But we can get in and get the job done and let you know when you need to go above what our skill set is. So if you need an ad expert, I'm not your girl, but I know tons of ad experts. So let's talk about your needs, and then let's put you in contact with the correct people.
You're like the Jill of all trades, the Jess of all trades. You know, like you have so many tools in your toolbox. It gets like overwhelming, I think, at least to me. I'm sure other people listening too. It just is like, wow, I don't know where. It's like, where do I start my list of tasks? So it's pretty much like a good consultation with you.
Yeah. I always ask when I meet with anyone, first of all, there are VAs who charge to meet with them. I do not. If you have questions, send me a message, just like you have before, Hillary. I'm happy to answer any question. I've hired my own VA before and it has gone south very quickly. I don't want that to happen to anyone, so I will always let someone pick my brain. But yes, we are, in my opinion, Jill of all trades. A vocab word that I love around being a virtual assistant is being a polymath, which is just a person of wide-ranging knowledge and learning. So we're not only skilled in a multitude of things, we're willing to go out and do the learning ourselves. I've yet to meet a VA who doesn't mean they're not out there, who will lie about what they do and don't know, but they'll say, I don't know this program, but I've tried something similar. I'm willing to learn it. So it's a level of transparency that I feel we don't get in the corporate world, where I'm not saying I have or haven't done this, but you put that thing on your resume that you've looked at once and never actually tried, but you're claiming you're an expert in it. That always
I'm an
me.
expert in Adobe Photoshop, and you're like, I used to have the app before, so I know what it looks like.
People are like, oh, you do design work? And I'm like, let me back that up. I do design work in Canva. Like I'm an expert in Canva. I'm not out here trying to be one day, but not today.
That's great. I love it. I assume you know a lot of virtual assistants. How did you get started? You were just tired of the corporate world? Like, did you have to do any extra training, or how does one start to be a virtual assistant?
Yeah. So I personally, there was a woman locally who was doing a coaching program, and she sold her coaching business to someone else. And before she sold it, I thought, oh, this is an MLM. This is a scam. But I want that. That's the job I want for myself. But this is a scam. So I kept at what I was doing, which I was happy and good at what I was doing. But when the pandemic hit and she sold her business, I realized now is the time for every business owner to pivot. Like, everyone needs the opportunity to come online, not just those of us who know how to do that already. So I wanted to step into that role, and I ended up paying for a course called the Laptop Freedom Program. And it was a 4-month course. We learn all about business establishment and different skill set and different programs with a cohort of about 6 to 7 women There's about 100 alumni who have gone through that program. A different version of it exists today, but it was a beautiful opportunity to get into being a virtual assistant and learning how to market myself without having to use platforms like Upwork and Fiverr. And while I have nothing against those programs, they are red flags in my business for finding the right fit.
Okay.
Both on both ends, finding the right VA and finding the right client, because there's a third party involved, and I think it leads to less transparency. But some VAs are very successful on there, so I don't want to say it's not a good route.
Okay.
And some business owners find great VAs on there. So that's an option too. But once I got into that world, I have just stayed connected with different coaches, and I always want to learn from someone. So if I see a VA who offers, say, Pinterest management, which as much as I want to understand that, I don't understand it. So I want to become their friend because I want to know what they know, not for free. Like if I have to be trained in something, I'm going to pay someone. But that way I kind of have someone in my back pocket constantly that I'm like, oh, well, I know Sarah who does Pinterest management and she's actually an expert. So I'm going to bow out of this one. And that builds a beautiful referral network and an immense sense of trust. I work with women all over the world, and they have VAs who are all over the world. So, oh, you're in Canada and I'm not in Canada. Well, that's a bad example because I work with everyone in Canada, but Australia is a good example. I don't work with Australian clients anymore because of the time difference, but I do have a VA friend who works there. So as she comes across US clients who don't fit her time zone needs, we just flop them. Yeah. Some business owners want you to be online while they're online, and others do not care. So that's something to think about when hiring someone of, is that important to you? Me, for example, I don't work Fridays. So if a client is upset that they can't have me on Fridays, I'm just not the right fit for them. Mm-hmm. But, that's part of the life that I need for me, and they have other needs for them.
Well, I think that's a good thing to ask too when you're interviewing for a VA too, is like, if I need you on a certain day, like, do you have days you don't work or time zones you don't work, because then it'll help you, narrow it down to who you can work the best with, right?
Right. I like to think that every VA asks that question to open the door, but I know that doesn't happen. So I have a list of about 10 questions that I ask when I meet with someone. I'll just read them to you really quickly because I met with someone this morning. I'm so sorry. I just had this more prepared for you. So I usually like to get a quick 3-minute scope about your business. So what is your business? What is your why? What brought you into your business? And then after that, why are you hiring someone? Mm-hmm. What brought you there? Because you might not need to hire someone. And there's usually good cause for why they're hiring someone. I also like to find out if they've hired a VA in the past, not necessarily an employee, because sometimes we'll tattle on ourselves via our last relationships of what our pain points are. And that's a good, building point. I'm not going to punish anyone for having a previous VA before, but they might express that they had communication issues. So that's something I am then able to prompt more questions about. And the reverse is true. They might tell me that, and I could say, oh, I've had a similar experience. Well, they probably need to ask me a couple more questions of maybe Jessica communicates too directly and she's not the right one for me. Mm-hmm. I always like to set up a game plan on that discussion. This is a free call. This is what it would look like working with me. How does that feel for you? And then I'm not the on the call closer girl. Some VAs are. I'm not that girl. I worked in finance for too long. I don't want to close your deal on the phone. Like, I want you to take time. I want you to process, and I want you to make the best decision for you. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, those are my heavy hitters. The have you hired a VA before, and that why for everyone's business, because if someone's why is.
Do you think that you or most VAs, do you guys have like a minimum per week that you work? What do the hours look like?
Yeah, everyone is different because everyone's needs are different. So I operate my business full time. So I'm more flexible. I've also had I've hired clients have hired me for large retainers that are like 30 hours a week, which started to feel like corporate life again. And after 6 months of that, I was like, I don't like this. I don't want to see your face every day like this. So I stepped into having more clients with smaller needs. So personally, my clients range from needing 7 to 20 hours per month. I have a couple of clients who need a lot more than that, but I keep a good mix. So if someone comes to me and they're like, I only need 5 hours a month of support. That's like really small number, but we could probably talk about making that work. Because there are small businesses who truly only do need 5 hours of support, and it's something that they are not good at. Example of this, I met with my good friend, Rochelle Christie. She's an emotional mastery coach based out of Texas, and she needs help getting more contacts into her podcast. She has a great podcast. She can do solo episodes forever, talking about human design and energetics, but she can't always find the right fit for her niche. And she's like, you keep finding random people for me for free. What if I was paying you to do that? And I'm like, well, that would be beautiful. Let's work on that together. So it literally can be anything, you know. You are just not comfortable reaching out to people. Well, your VA might be your person that you're sending in to do that, and they can start doing that initial networking for you, where you just have to come in and do the call. We've kind of vetted everything up to that.
Nice. That makes sense. I like it. Well, is there any last bit of advice or tidbit we should know?
I have nothing. I took great notes, but we have covered everything.
Yeah, you covered all my questions.
I think to recap, there's just not really tasks that a VA can't do. The only exception I can think to that, and we talked about this a little bit when we met in person, would be if there's any licensing or guidelines running in the background. So HIPAA might be something that is going to prevent your VA for fully working with you, just because we can't implement every form of software that might be beneficial to your company. Doesn't mean we can't find a workaround, but we're not all program writers, so we can't fix every single thing that we would love to. And
boo.
I know. Lucky for me, I know a program writer.
Nice. Well, thanks so much for coming on. If someone wants to get in touch with you, Jess, what's the best way?
I'm open to everything, but I will leave my email. It is Jess, JESS, at hellojess.co. So
awesome.
I just like to look at my name frequently, if you can't tell.
Well, it's easy to remember. I'll give you that. And I'll try to post some like that underneath it. And they can find you on Facebook, Instagram, I'm sure also.
Yep. Instagram is just hellojess.co. And then, yeah, Facebook. I mean, there are other Jess Morsons, but it will be very clear that it is me. So.
Awesome. Thanks again for coming on today.
Not a problem. You have a great day.